How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, November 25th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to give an in-depth overlook of the 2021 All-MLB first team and the All-MLB second team. This was an amazing season that saw the Atlanta Braves take home the title about a month ago, or within this past month. And just to take a look back at the individual players that were so good, that were good enough to stand out as the first and second best players in their position, it really is just a marvel to see. And of course, for context, the first time they made the All-MLB teams was in 2019, which was the year right before the pandemic season, which is why MLB is a little late to the game on this. So there are some players that made it for the first time that make no sense, and there are some players they'll be surprised that there are only a handful of players that have made 3 All-MLB teams so far. So far, Juan Soto, Garrett Cole, Liam Hendricks, and Freddie Freeman are the only 4 players to have made 3 All-MLB teams so far since the award's been made, just to give you a sense of how novel and brand new. Since considering Juan Soto was here for all 3, should give a sense. It started at the beginning of Juan Soto's all-star, all-MLB levels, just to give, I guess now I'm going to use Juan Soto as a reference point for this all-MLB team. But regardless, getting into it, I usually always start with the pitchers. So this time I'm going to finish with the pitchers, starting with the catcher position. The first team All-MLB catcher was Salvador Perez, the elite catcher for the Kansas City Royals. This season, he would go on to tie Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for the major league lead in home runs. He broke Johnny Bench's record for the most home runs by a catcher, and he tied Jorge Soler's franchise record while also leading the MLB in RBI. So, of course, Salvador Perez would have a great season for himself. This would be the second time that Salvador Perez has made the team. He made the first team last year. And then, of course, the second team was the second team All-MLB catcher for the 2021 season was Buster Posey, the future Hall of Fame catcher for the Giants, who already has announced his retirement. Nonetheless, what better way than to retire on top? After he sat out the last season, he would help the Giants finish with the best record in baseball. He would go on to post his highest OPS since his National League MVP year. I'm getting all this from the MLB.com article, by the way. I want to thank them before I really get into depth with this. And this is considering he's been in the game for so long, and this is such a brand new award, and this came into being when he was really kind of hurt. This is the first time that Buster Posey, and this is the only time that Buster Posey will ever be named to an All-MLB team. Looking at the first base position, the first team All-MLB first baseman was Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the young elite first baseman for the Toronto Blue Jays. Of course, in this being his very first All-Star season, this will be the very first time that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been called up to the team itself. He would go on to tie Salvador Perez for the MLB lead in home runs. He led the majors in runs. He led the American League in OPS, finishing second to Bryce Harper. And, of course, considering that he's 22, he may be able to see how many All-MLB teams that he can win over the course of his career, just because of his timing of when he came into the MLB. And at the first base position, the second team All-MLB award was given to Freddie Freeman, the elite first baseman for the Atlanta Braves, who was the reigning National League MVP from last year. And, of course, who has just picked up his first World Series title. He would go on to finish with the National League lead 120 runs, as he still finished with a 300 batting average and a 500 slugging. His OPS hit very close to 900 on the year. And, of course, Freddie Freeman is one of the 4 players that has made the All-MLB team 3 times, whether it be the first and the second. Last year, he made the All-MLB first team for the only time in his career. And the very first year that this list was created in 2019, he was second team All-MLB behind Pete Alonso of the Mets. Looking at the second base position, the All-MLB First Team award was given to Marcus Simeon of the Toronto Blue Jays. He would go on to lead all second basemen, setting a single-season record for second baseman, hitting 45 home runs. He finished with He finished with at least 100 RBIs and 100 runs on the season. And Marcus Simeon, like all of the other names mentioned before him, went on to win the Silver Slugger in his respective league. But unlike the other names I mentioned before, Marcus Simeon also went on to pick up the Gold Glove at the second base position. So Marcus Simeon would have an out-of-spirit career, or an out-of-spirit season, and what would be an amazing season for him, which would be capped off being named first team All-MLB. This is the second time that Marcus Simeon has been named to an All-MLB team, as he was named to the second team All-MLB in 2019 as a member of the Oakland Athletics. Now, second team All-MLB at the second base position for the 2021 season went to Ozzy Albies, the elite young switch hitter for the Atlanta Braves, who just picked up his very first World Series title. This is his first time being named to an All-MLB team. He became the 4th second baseman in MLB history with at least 30 home runs, 20 steals, and 100 RBIs, not to mention that he also scored 100 runs. Like I said, he is a very young player, and for this being the very first time he was named to an All-MLB team, this may be history in the making for who may be a very promising young player when it's all said and done. And like every other player I mentioned, Ozzy Albies went on to win a Silver Slugger in his league. So, of course, Ozzy Albies, great season for him. Jumping from shortstop to third base, because of course that's naturally the way you do it. First team All-MLB for third base was given to Austin Reilly for the Atlanta Braves. This is the third Atlanta Braves infielder who was given the All-MLB honors, and this is the first time that Austin Reilly has even been named up here, considering Austin Reilly has never been named an All-Star before. He would go on to finish with a .303 average, finishing with 33 home runs, 33 doubles, and he would finish with 107 RBIs. And of course, he helped Atlanta go on to win the World Series. So of course, his presence was definitely felt for the Atlanta Braves. Additionally, this year he was yet another player to win a Silver Slugger at his respective position. And sitting alongside him at the position, second team All-MLB at the third base position, the award was given to Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox, who also was given the Silver Slugger at third base for the American League. Rafael Devers would go on to help the Red Sox make the playoffs as he finished with a career-high 38 home runs. He was another member of the 100 RBIs and 100 runs club, finishing with an .890 OPS. And following this season, this was the very first time that, of course, Rafael Devers has been named to an All-MLB team, just like Austin Reilly. And then taking a look at the shortstop position, first team All-MLB shortstop was given to Fernando Tatis, the elite shortstop for the San Diego Padres. Looking at Tatis, this is the second time that he's been named to the All-MLB first team, as he was named to the All-MLB first team last year as well. He will go on to lead the National League in home runs, which is why he ended up winning the Silver Slugger at the position. He would finish with a .975 OPS. He did steal 25 bases. He would score 99 runs, and he would finish with 97 RBIs despite missing a whole month of the season. And considering he's only 22, the fact that he's made the first team for the second straight year at his position is basically unheard of. Not unheard of, but he is on a blazing hot pace at this moment. Second team All-MLB at the shortstop position was given to Trey Turner, the batting champ for the LA Dodgers. He would go on to finish with a 328, 375, 536 slash. He is the only player, he's the first player that I've named that was named to the All-MLB team despite not winning a Silver Slugger or a Gold Glove at the position, considering Nolan Arenado, or not Nolan Arenado, but it seems as though Brandon Crawford actually won the Gold Glove and the Silver Slugger was given to Fernando Tatis. But still, Trey Turner would have an amazing season of his own. And he would finish with a combined 328, 375, 536 slash, as he would go on to make his very first All-MLB team. So, of course, big season for Trey Turner as he established himself as the second best shortstop in baseball for the season. Taking a look really quickly at the All-MLB teams that are looking before I guess going straight to the outfield, I guess. The three first team outfielders, I guess I'll start with Juan Soto, the only player on this list who has made the list 3 times, at least from the outfield position. Juan Soto would make it here after he would go on to lead the MLB with a .465 on-base percentage. He led the MLB in walks. He had 145 walks. He still finished with 25 home runs, almost finished with 100 RBIs. And this would be the second straight year that he made the All-MLB first team as an outfielder. And of course, he's still a very young player. He's still 22 years old. The next player to make the All-MLB first team, because the next 2 players would make the first team for their very first times ever. Bryce Harper, the elite outfielder for the Philadelphia Phillies, would go on to make his very first All-MLB selection after he put up a 1044 OPS, which would lead the MLB. He finished with 35 home runs on the season and scored 100 runs himself. And only Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was the other player with a 300 batting average, a 400 on-base percentage, and a 600 slugging percentage on the season. He was one of 2 players with a 1,000 OPS as well, too, because, of course, if you have a plus 400 OPS and a plus 600 slugging, then you have OPS of over 1,000. And also the third outfielder that was named to the All-MLB first team was Aaron Judge. The elite outfielder for the New York Yankees would go on to help the team make the playoffs after he finished with 39 home runs and 98 RBIs. This is the very first time that Aaron Judge has made an All-MLB team too, considering the novelty of the award. And then looking at the players that were named to the second. But first, before I get there, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, and Aaron Judge were the players that were, of course, given the Silver Slugger out in the outfield. Or Aaron Judge was given a Silver Slugger in the American League. Bryce Harper and Juan Soto both won their second Silver Sluggers in the National League this year. Looking at the second team outfielders, starting in Cincinnati to the last National League player who was given a Silver Slugger, Nick Castellanos in his age 29 season would make the second team All-MLB, finishing with a 309 batting average and a 567 slugging percentage. Also, after posting a career high on base percentage, he finished with a career high in 34 home runs as well. Even though the Reds did not make the playoffs, Nick Castellanos is said to be one heck of a free agent if someone were to pick him up. And this is the very first time that Nick Castellanos, like I said, has been named to a team. And this is also the season where he picked up his very first Silver Slugger as well. Joining Nick Castellanos on the second team All-MLB is Kyle Tucker of the Houston Astros. Kyle Tucker will go on to make the second team All-MLB for his very first time. He would go on to finish with a 917 OPS. He finished with 37 doubles on the season, 30 home runs, and 92 RBIs. as he was yet another player that was named to the All-MLB team without being awarded a Silver Slugger or a Golden Glove. But of course, he was a prime contributor for a Houston Astros team that did go on to make it all the way to the World Series. And then, of course, joining Kyle Tucker and Nick Castellanos on the second team is Teoscar Hernandez from the Toronto Blue Jays, who is also making his first appearance, but he had a breakout season in 2020. This year he finished with 32 home runs and 116 RBIs as he finished with a .524 slugging percentage and a batting average that was almost at 300 for the season. He was yet another Blue Jay to make it as he went on to join his teammates Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Marcus Simeon, of course, on the All-MLB teams, as well as, those are the position players to make it. And then looking at the designated hitter position, which is only available in the American League, the first team designated hitter was, of course, awarded to Shohei Ohtani, who was given the Achievement Award in the MLB this season. And not to mention that this is the very first time that Shohei Ohtani has been named to the All-MLB team. He would go on to finish as the first American League player ever with at least 45 home runs, 25 stolen bases, and 100 runs in a season. Not to mention that he also started in the American League All-Star game as a pitcher and a designated hitter. This season was one for the ages for Shohei, and of course, this first team is, of course, a surprise to no one after the season that he had. And then alongside him, the second team All-MLB designated hitter was designated to Yordan Alvarez of the Houston Astros. Alvarez was another player that would be named to an All-MLB team despite not being named a Silver Slugger. Yordan Alvarez would help the Astros finish as the American League champs, as he went on to finish with 33 home runs and at least 100 RBIs. And following this season, he would go on to make the All-MLB or the designated hitter second team or the All-MLB second team for the second year in his career, as he did it for the first time in 2019. 2020, he was edged out by Marcell Ozuna and Nelson Cruz. Taking a look at the 2021 All-MLB team, at least now from the pitching standpoint, starting with the very first team, starting with the starting pitchers, going through the lineup. First, starting off with the LA Dodgers, the first team was gifted to Max Scherzer, their goated starting pitcher. This would go on to be the second time that Max Scherzer has been named to an All-MLB team. Max Scherzer was previously named to the first team in 2019. This season, he would start with the Washington Nationals and finish with the Dodgers, and still at the end of the season, he had a combined 15-4 record with a sub-250 ERA and had 236 strikeouts on the season. He led the MLB in WHIP, of course, being in the National League. And he would go on to finish with a 7-0 record for the Dodgers. And now he's been named to the All-MLB team on two different teams for the first team. I'm not sure if that's really happened. Alongside him, making his third start on the first team All-MLB, or like his third All-MLB appearance, it is, of course, Gerrit Cole. Gerrit Cole after making the first team in 2019 and the second team in 2020, Gerrit Cole would help the Yankees make it to the playoffs before they got knocked out in the wild card round. He would go on to finish with a 3.23 ERA with 243 strikeouts, 7 more than Scherzer, but his ERA was a lot higher. He had an American League best 5.93 strikeout to walk ratio in 182 innings. And sitting alongside Gerrit Cole and Max Scherzer on the first team for the 2021 out-of-starter pitchers are three first-timers. Starting out on the Dodgers, it is their elite starting pitcher, Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler would make it after hitting career highs in starts and innings. He would finish with a 2.47 ERA to help the Dodgers finish with the second-best record in all of baseball. And this is, like I said, his very first time making it. Sitting alongside him is Robbie Ray of the Toronto Blue Jays after Robbie Ray would lead the American League in ERA with the 2.84 ERA. He led them in innings, ERA plus, and WHIP. He led the entire major leagues in strikeouts as well. Even though the Blue Jays didn't make the playoffs, he did help them reach 90 wins, as Robbie Ray was definitely not a reason that the Blue Jays were not good enough. And the fifth first-time appearance was from Corbin Burnes of the Milwaukee Brewers. Corbin Burnes went on to finish with a 2.43 ERA as he helped the Brewers finish with the best record in the National League Central. He went on to finish with an ERA plus and strikeout to walk ratios that were the best in baseball. And of course, like I said, he would go on to finish with an amazing year for the Brewers this year. And now taking a look at the starting pitchers that made the second team, starting with the player that was already named to the first team already, Shohei Ohtani, after being named a first team designated hitter, was named a second team pitcher after he finished with a 9-2 record and a 3.18 ERA. A couple not that far out from a really serious Tommy John surgery. Finished with 156 strikeouts and 130 innings, as he was selected as as baseball selected him as one of the 10 best pitchers in baseball, and I can't see many arguments against it. Joining him from the same city is Julio Udias from the Los Angeles Dodgers. After Julio Udias won that championship for the Dodgers the year before, he really kind of stepped into stepped into his own as a pitcher. And this season, he really has helped the Dodgers finish with the second best record in baseball, like I mentioned, with Scherzer. He won the most games in baseball this year. He had 20 wins. He had a 2.96 ERA. So he had the most wins in baseball and had a sub-3 ERA. Not much you can argue against that. And he did all this in 185 innings, and this would be the very first time that he would be selected to an All-MLB team. Joining him on the third team, of course, amongst the starting pitchers, is Kevin Gausman, also coming from California, coming from the San Francisco Giants, as he was the ace of the team that finished with the best record in baseball. Kevin Gausman would finish with a 14-6 record and a 2.81 ERA. Like I said, after he accepted the qualifying offer, and now Kevin Gausman, now he's probably worth a little bit more money now that he's made an All-MLB team. Joining him on the team out of Philadelphia is Zach Wheeler, the fourth player that will be named for the first time as a pitcher. Zach Wheeler would finish this year with the most strikeouts in the National League, as he had 247 of them. He also finished with a 2.78 ERA. Of course, we love ERAs that are under 3. He finished with the most innings pitched in baseball, as he threw 13 innings. So, of course, Zach Wheeler definitely earned his way into getting his very first All-MLB nod. And then the fifth and final player that will be named to the All-MLB team, the only player on the second team that has been named for the second time in his MLB career. It was Max Fried of the world champion Atlanta Braves. He was named to the first team last year following his stellar season. This year for the Braves, he finished with a 14-7 record, finishing with a 3.04 ERA. Not to mention that he did help the Braves. He did assume the ace role after Mike Soroka's injury got prolonged. However, his second appearance is not bad, considering he was the pitcher that ended up winning the Golden Glove in the National League, just to give a sense of how well he was pitching. And he was also the Silver Slugger Award winner for the award, as well, as Max Fried did happen to sweep both awards in the National League. But that's just... I didn't even realize that, but Max Fried most definitely did that. And then last but not least, looking at the players that made the 2021 team in the relief category. Starting with the two pitchers that made the first team, they were, of course, the two, I imagine, They were the two players that would go on to win the relief pitchers of the year. First team was given to Josh Hader, the elite closer for the Milwaukee Brewers. He finished with 34 saves and a 1.23 ERA on the season as he helped the Brewers finish as National League Central champs. He did this as he would go on to make his second All-MLB team, as he made the first team in 2019 but failed to make a team in 2020. But sitting behind him sitting alongside him with first team is Liam Hendricks the elite closer for the Chicago White Sox. This is the third consecutive year that Liam Hendricks has made an All-MLB team. He made the second team in 2019. He made the first team in 2020 and 2021. Of course, he joins Freddie Freeman, Juan Soto, and Garrett Cole as the four players that are 3 for 3. Liam Hendricks would help the White Sox finish as the American League Central champs after signing his 3-year deal. He would finish with a 2.54 ERA as he finished with the most saves in the American League. He had 38 of them. And then looking at the two players that would make the second team at relief pitcher, both players having never made the All-MLB team before. Starting off with the Dodgers, both of them were in Los Angeles. Starting off on the Dodgers, you had Lee Janssen in his age 33 season. In his 69 innings, he posted a 2.22 ERA as he helped the Dodgers finish with the second best record in all of baseball, striking out 86 batters in those 69 innings, finishing with 38 saves. The other second team award was given to Raisel Iglesias of the Los Angeles Angels. He would lead the American League in 59 games finish as he finished with a 2.57 ERA and an 8.58 strikeout to walk ratio in 70 innings. And these two players would be named to the All-MLB team for the first time. And I think just to close it out, just to look back at both of these teams, I think it really is saying something considering how many players, how many professional athletes in the world try out to be professional baseball players, especially in the MLB, considering how many players at least try to make it to the top MLB level. And these are the players that establish themselves out of all 30 teams as either the best or one, or the second best, or one of the best in their entire position out of the entire pool of people that play baseball. And just taking a looking at it all the way through, looking at the first teams, as I said it, the first team catcher was Salvador Perez, the elite starting catcher for the Kansas City Royals. The first baseman was Vladimir Guerrero of the Toronto Blue Jays. Second baseman was Marcus Simeon of the Toronto Blue Jays. Shortstop was Fernando Tatis of the San Diego Padres. The third baseman was Austin Reilly of the Atlanta Braves. The outfielders were Juan Soto of the Washington Nationals, Bryce Harper of the Philadelphia Phillies, and Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees. The first team designated hitter was Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Angels. The first team starting pitchers were Max Scherzer and Walker Buehler of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Corbin Burnes of the Milwaukee Brewers, Robbie Ray of the Toronto Blue Jays, and Garrett Cole of the New York Yankees. And the first team relief pitchers were Josh Hader of the Milwaukee Brewers and Liam Hendricks of the Chicago White Sox. Looking at the second team nominees, the second team catcher was Buster Posey of the San Francisco Giants, who will never play another MLB game, according to his account. The first baseman was Freddie Freeman of the Atlanta Braves. The second baseman was Ozzy Albies of the Atlanta Braves. MLB's second team shortstop was Trey Turner of the Los Angeles Dodgers. The third baseman was Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox. The three outfielders were Nick Castellanos of the Cincinnati Reds, Kyle Tucker from the Houston Astros, and Teoscar Hernandez from the Toronto Blue Jays. The second team designated hitter was Yordan Alvarez of the Houston Astros. The 5 second team starting pitchers were Shohei Ohtani of the Angels, Julio Udias of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Kevin Gausman of the San Francisco Giants, Max Fried of the Atlanta Braves, and Zach Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies. And the two relief pitchers were Raisel Iglesias of the Los Angeles Dodgers and Lee Janssen of the LA Dodgers. With that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece, and I definitely want to thank this MLB article because without it, I wouldn't be able to do it. And of course, Wikipedia and other articles as well to give me my understanding and my knowledge. With that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. I hope all is well. And once all of today's exhibitions are done, I will come back tomorrow on Friday, November 26th, for another episode of The Elite. So until then, thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Peace out.